Hey, sixth grade. This is lesson 10, day 6, and you're going to be doing some problems on your own in a second. So make sure your math book is on page 112. If it's not, get there now. Now, on 112, 113, we're not going to be doing all of the problems, so I'm going to eliminate a few to make your life a little bit easier. So first thing, you do not need to do number 1, so X that one out. You are going to do 2, and you are going to do 3. Now, on the next page, you are not going to do number 4, and be thankful because that actually has 6 nasty problems in it. But you are going to do 5, which is part A, and which is part B. All right. Now, as you get started, you only have 3 problems to do, but one of them is an open-ended question. I want you to be thinking here. When you're doing these, be thinking, is it multiplication or is it division? If you're not sure, you could always set a ratio table up to help you decide if you would multiply or divide. So for each one, I'll show you a ratio table as I go over them. And then second, could you estimate first to maybe eliminate some answers or make your life easier? All right, so your job is to work on 2, 3, and 5. Pause the video while you're doing it, and as soon as you're done, get ready to go over it with me. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, get started. Go. All right, so number 2. I'm going to read it, and here's what it says. It says, Maria walks a round trip of 0.75 mile, so that's 3/4 of a mile to school every day. How many miles will she walk in 4.5 days? So let me show you a trick to decide if this is multiplication or division. Since they are telling you she walks 3/4 of a mile, 0.75, each day. So that's miles, by the way. And you have to figure out how far she walks in 4.5 days. If you are going from one day, and you are trying to figure out how far she goes in 4.5 days, that always means multiply because you're going from 1 to 4.5. You're getting bigger, so you're going to be multiplying. So this is a multiplication problem. Now, let's start. I'm going to take 0.75 and I'm going to multiply that by 4.5. Now, if I were estimating this, here's what I would say. I know 0.75 is 3/4, and 4.5 is about 4 or 5. I'm not going to say 4 because it makes the math easier. And 3/4 of 4 is 3. So when I look at my answers, there's really only one answer that's close to 3. So it's got to be B. But I'm going to go through and I'm going to solve this for you guys because I'm assuming that you actually did the multiplication. So first off, it's 0.75. I'll do this one traditional. Times 4.5. Okay? So 5 times 5 is 25. Carry the 2. 5 times 7 is 35. Plus 2 is 37. I don't need to multiply by that 0, by the way. Okay, then I'm going to fill in a 0 down here. 4 times 5 is 20. Write the 0. Carry the 2. 4 times 7 is 28. Plus 2 is 30. Okay, I get 5, 7, 3, 3. And there are 1, 2, 3 decimal places. So my answer needs to have 3 decimal places. So that's how I know the answer is B. All right, or use estimation and save yourself some work. All right, so pause the video if you messed up. Make sure you redo the problem correctly if you have to. Okay, let's go to number 3. So this one says, Mika babysat the Tylers for 3.5 hours, and they gave her $26.25. How much did she make per hour? Now this one's kind of the opposite in number 2. Remember in number 2, they told us how far she went in one day, and we had to multiply to get 4.5 days. Now in this one, they tell us how much she makes in 3.5 hours. And we have to figure out how much she made per hour. So we have to figure out the rate, or the unit rate. So anytime you have to figure out the unit rate, it's going to be division. So I'm going to start, and I'm going to do $26.25 divided by 3.5. Now remember, I can't divide by a decimal like that, so I'm going to change this to 262.5 divided by 35. Now remember what I did here is I just took this decimal and I moved it once to the right, which is what times 10 is, and that gets me 35. Now if I did that to the denominator, I must do it to the numerator. So I multiply this by 10, which means move the decimal once to the right, and now it's 262.5. So now I'm going to do that division problem. 262.5 divided by 35. So first, let me figure out what 35 goes into. Let me get my decimal here. It does not go into 2 or 26. It will go into 262. So I'm going to start with a little counting by 35 list, but I'm going to start at 5. So 5 times 5 is 25. Carry the 2. 5 times 3 is 15, plus 2 is 17. So that's not high enough because I know I need to get closer to 262. So I'm going to do 35 times 6. 6 times 5 is 30. 6 times 3 is 18, plus 3 is 21. So I'm up to 210. Then I'm going to get higher. I'm going to do 35 times 7. 7 times 5 is 35. 7 times 3 is 21, plus 3 is 24. I'm up to 245. I'll do one more. 35 times 8. 8 times 5 is 40. 8 times 3 is 24, plus 4 is 28. Now 280 is too high. So 35 is going to go 7 times, which is 245. Every time I subtract, 12 minus 5 is 7, 5 minus 4 is 1, I must bring down the next digit. Now I need to figure out how many times 35 goes into 175. And notice I already have it done. So it's going to go in 5 times, which is 175. Subtract 0. There's my answer, 7.5. Now remember, it said how much did she make in per hour. So we don't say she made 7.5. We say she made $7.50 in an hour, which is B. So what I want you to do is, if you had it wrong, understand where you went wrong. Did you mess up changing it so you were dividing by a whole number? Did you do that correctly, but you maybe messed up your division? All right, so figure out where you messed up, make your correction, and then we'll move on to the next problem. All right, so in number 5, it says, one of Mr. Edwards' students answered the following problem on her homework. And part A says to explain to Mr. Edwards whether or not the student got the answer correct and explain the reasons why. All right, so let me start here. Now, in this problem, if I were to estimate this, 17 is about 20, and let's say 25, I don't know, let's just say it's about 25. Now, if I were multiplying this, remember, 2 times 25 is 50. Add that 0 there. So my estimate should be about 500. So when I look at the exact answer, 42.8, I know that can't be right. So if I explain whether or not the student got the question correct, I'm going to use my estimate. All right? So I'm going to say the student is not correct. So I'm going to say I estimated 20 times 25 equals 500. The student's answer is not close to 500, so it can't be correct. So what I want you to see is that estimation can be used to save you time. So just by estimating that, I can tell that that student was wrong, and I have part A answered. Now, maybe you solved the problem and you decided that the student wasn't correct. That's fine too. So if that's what you did, that works. But now let's go to part B. It says use the multiplication algorithm to find the answer to the same question. So guess what? Now I have to multiply. Now, if you solved it with the regular traditional way or lattice, it really doesn't matter to me. So I'm going to do this one. You know what? I'm going to do this one lattice, I think. So I'm going to pause the video and I'm going to get the lattice drawn. Okay, so I have the lattice drawn and I'm just going to start solving it. So remember before my estimate was about 500. So I'm going to use that estimate to help me place my decimal point too. So I'm going to multiply 2 times everything. So I get 12, 0, 14, 2. Now I'm going to multiply 5 by everything. 30, 0, 35, 1. Oop, I almost messed up. Got to call me on that. 5, not 1. Now I'm going to multiply 1 by everything. 6, 0, 7, 1. Okay, so check your digits if you did lattice, that is. If you did traditional, wait here because this is what your number should add up to. Ready? So I have 6, 0. So I know 7 and 3 is 10, plus 2 is 12, right? The 2 carry the 1. So 1 and 1 is 2, and 5 is 7, and 1 is 8. So here I have 5 plus 3 is 8, plus 4 is 12. Here I have 4. Now, where can I put my decimal so my answer is close to 500? I'm going to put it right there to get 428.206. So that is the answer to that problem. Now, is that the problem I had at the top? Yes, it is. So now I could go up. Remember the original answer here? They just put the decimal in the wrong spot. It should be 428.206. All right, so guess what? You're done. Remember, if you made a mistake, fix it. Don't just erase your answer and change it to the correct one. You actually need to fix it on your paper. Other than that, you are done with me. See ya.